Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Wednesday morning, progressives. Chins up and shoulders back. Welcome to the Thanksgiving Eve, November 26, 2025 edition of Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, heartlandsignal.com, and YouTube. You can email me at richard@wcpt820.com. Follow me on X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Blue Sky, Threads, and Substack. And also, Spoutable. Kind of a cool place to hang out. Yeah, we like to be involved with the socials. I guess you could put it that way. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views, featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, Out Chicago, and our other shows and interviews. Make your way over to heartlandsignal.com to check out all of our great work over there. And I've got to update this. Edwin's show is now called It's Democracy Stupid. Is it Democracy Stupid? Yeah. See, there you go. So we'll clean that up, guys. I know it's been a couple of shows, but we'll make sure we've got that squared away. But like I said, make your way over to heartlandsignal.com because of all the good stuff that we have over there. U.S. Representative Brad Snyder from the great state of Illinois talks about, Trump trying to revise and play revisionist historian when it comes to the Epstein files. Ain't going to have it. Also, you'll see a great article that I'm going to read from in a little bit about the increased cost in Montana under the Trump tariffs. So I'll get to that and read that one for you guys. There were parts of it, just some of the highlights. It's a great article, and it's a great post that we have there from our team at the Heartland Signal website, digital newsroom, I should say. So make your way over there. It's pre-Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving Eve. It's all that stuff. And as I said before, be careful in your travels. Get out early. I was talking with the guy at the bank yesterday, Matt, and I said, okay, are your tires right? Is it everything good? You had the oil change because he lives out of state, and he was like, yeah, I'm pretty good to go. So I just gave him the nod. On today's show, our guests will include a very, very wonderful interview that we had with the Lieutenant Governor-elect in Virginia, Governor Ghazala Hashmi. And then our great friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 will be with us in the 7 o'clock hour. And we will have another local official with us in the 7:30 hour, and that is West Des Moines City Council member Renee Hardman will be with us in the 7:30 hour. So looking forward to chatting with her. There you go, guys. Right now, check this out, progressives.
I think my first question to you is whether you're relieved about what happened today, in that the system seemed to work in a certain way. How did you feel in reaction to it?
Well, Casey, I would like to say that I'm celebrating here, but the honest answer is that I'm not. I mean, not only is the administration saying that they are going to appeal this, but even if they don't, this whole episode was a body blow for the rule of law. I mean, just the fact that the President of the United States was able to initiate federal investigations into his critics by social media post shows you how easy this is to do. And of course, the process is the punishment. They don't even care part of the time if they lose these cases in court, because they know people will lose their jobs and their livelihoods and their personal security just from going through the investigation. So what I would compare it to, Casey, is it's like the raptors, the velociraptors in Jurassic Park. Yeah, at the beginning of the film, they were running into doors, but they eventually learned how to open the doors. And that's how I think of these bungled prosecutions. By next year, Trump's DOJ is going to learn how to open the doors, and they'll be a much deadlier opponent in the courts once they do. What I do predict will happen, Casey, regardless of what happens in my case or Chris Krebs' case, or if they try to bring charges again against James Comey or Letitia James. What I can predict is there will be investigations into these investigations in the future, because a number of these charges that have been brought against people, a number of the allegations are unconstitutional at their core. Even the idea that the President of the United States can order selective and vindictive prosecutions by tweet or with the stroke of a pen is something I think eventually the courts will find to be unconstitutional. And somewhere between now and then, like I said, there will be investigations into how and why these charges were brought and who knew what when. And there's multiple parts of the Department of Justice and congressional oversight committees that I think will be very interested to know why the justice system was abused for these purposes.
So, in case you didn't know, that was Miles Taylor talking to CNN's Casey Hunt shortly after the news broke about the case dismissals with Comey and James Comey and Letitia James. So, listen, guys, one of the things that came to my mind, and there's a number of things that came to mind with this, is using the Justice Department as a personal attack dog on citizens of the United States. It's just, there's a lot of things that it is, but the two that come to mind is it's stupid, because if you can't proceed with the cases, if they get thrown out, and in this case, it's been in the case with Comey and James, it keeps saying case, it's thrown out or it's been dismissed. Okay, now we know that they could waste some more money, which is the other part of this that I want to get to, and run it up the flagpole to his other beholdens in the six in the Supreme Court. You know, they could. There is a way that they could skip the next Court of Appeals and go to the Supreme Court. It's a lot of work to do it, et cetera. But they're going to tie up time at court time, legal resources to go after somebody that legitimately had the goods on Trump in the situation with Comey and what he stated. And Letitia James clearly had the goods on her. So let's just try this out for a second. First, he tried to go after her because of the piece about the mortgage, the second mortgage and all that. And I have the details of it in my head. And now he wants to, the point is, like Miles said, he wants to be able to say that these people got indicted, whether they get prosecuted or a case even goes forward. It's that he can say that he and his Justice Department went after people that he felt that he could go after. It's wasteful. It's wasteful. It's wasteful of resources. How about, again, this is one of those, I thought they were about, saving and cutting and doing the right thing when it comes to budget. They're not. You all that are MAGA, that follow any of our shows, any of our broadcasts on any level, whether it be this show, other shows on this station, other stations and podcasts, every one of the 78 million of you got duped. You got duped, whether it be out of ignorance or willfully, you just said, you know what, I don't really care as long as they're not coming after me. But now what we're seeing is they're coming after you with some of these raids. They've come after folks close to you, if not you. They've come to your come inside of your sixth circle. Wasteful, just wasteful, and the fact that the court system is taking the cases. I hope that what would be great if it were to go to a Supreme Court. If they were to decide to take or not take the case, but if the case were to be positioned to the Supreme Court as one that they would petition to hear, to get my words together there, Matt. I hope the Supreme Court says no, we're not going to hear this case. That would be the direction we'd like to see this go. But more importantly, guys, and I'm frustrated behind it because it's wasteful. It's just flat out wasteful. Why would we spend money? We know why. But why are we spending money in these situations? They wasted Congress, Republican run Congress, wasted money on going after Hunter Biden. You remember that? And this is where I go back to why people you're getting duped by Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she's the same person that showed up in Congress, on the floor of Congress with pictures of Hunter Biden. Naked pictures of Hunter Biden. But she's the same person that wants you to think that she's had an epiphany about speaking the right words and doing the right thing. And how about just not, if you want to respect people and show some decorum, which for her right now is utter BS. It just is. I've been telling people for a couple of weeks now, Matt, do not be fooled. Democrats, don't be fooled by this. And hopefully more and more people are starting to see it. But that's the same woman that wasted resources to bring this garbage, to be part of bringing the garbage to the House floor. So, this is that party. They're the fiscally conservative and responsible ones. That's a bunch of BS. It just is. We got to call it as it is. But we know that a lot of this that's happening right now is being directed by what was written in that 900-plus page mission statement of Project 2025. Let us not remain fooled. For those who may have been fooled or willing to give them space, I say no. We can embrace the ones that are changing, that are putting in the time and the work, and then have crossed the burning sands and realize that they messed up. And they're going to apologize for it and then sit at the back of the bus and let other people do the work until we decide that they can come forward and get involved. But until then, if we're going to embrace any of these people that are trying to come, then they have to sit at the back of the bus. And I'm not sorry to say that, because that's what needs to be said. Let the other folks who are doing the work be the ones to do the work. Someone said to me, I forgot who it was now, that says, I'm gonna have them in the front of the bus so I can keep my eye on them. But be that as it may. All right, guys, there you go. I just wanted you to know where I stand on these wasteful lawsuits, this wasteful, cases that they're bringing forward, which it's just utter craziness. Let's take a quick break, Maddie B. 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. In the heart of World War II, while the skies rumbled with the roar of combat, a groundbreaking squad of pilots emerged from the segregated South. The Tuskegee Airmen, an elite group of African-American pilots, defied the odds with their courage and skills. Trained at the Tuskegee Army Airfields in Alabama, they became the first black aviators in the U.S. military. Despite facing racism and skepticism, they soared through the skies, unmatched precision, escorting bombers and earning a distinguished reputation for their bravery. Their red-tailed P-51 Mustangs became a symbol of excellence and resilience, and in 2007, the Tuskegee Airmen were finally honored as they were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. These aviators didn't just fight for victory in the air, they battled for equality on the ground, forever altering the landscape of the American military and inspiring generations to come. This has been a WCPT Veteran Minute.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show, and thanks for being with us. I'm chuckling because I got a text right in the middle of that thought about who was it that said that Marjorie Taylor Greene would be on the bus, or those that are coming that are trying to find their way to a different path could get on the bus. We could pick them up, but they had to sit at the back of the bus. That was me. It was Kurt Mullett that said, got to sit at the front so I can keep my eye on you. Either way, wasteful is where I thought Doge was going to take care of all that. And you guys know what I'm talking about. But they're going to waste time and money on these cases. And yeah, it's not about the case itself. It's about retribution. There you go. All right, Maddie, let's hit him with a couple of Choose Views news items on this November 26, 2025. Consumer confidence drops to a 7-month low. Americans are losing confidence in the state of the job market and the economy based on the Conference Board's November data. It's the latest gauge. In its latest gauge, the numbers tumbled 6.8 points to 88.7, the lowest level since April, and well below economists' expectations in the Dow Jones and Bloomberg surveys. The Conference Board's chief economist also noted to CNBC that the data showed Americans were notably, quote, more pessimistic about business conditions 6 months from now, while expectations for increased household incomes shrunk dramatically to their lowest level dating back to February of 2023. When who was president? Joe Biden. Now Trump is, and see what you get. DOJ reaches settlement with RealPage in rent-setting case. What's this all about? The Department of Justice has reached a proposed settlement with RealPage over allegations it enabled unlawful price fixing between residential landlords through its rent-setting algorithms. As part of the settlement, which now awaits approval from a federal judge, the real estate firm has agreed to a 3-month monitorship and data collection restrictions. The initial lawsuit filed last year was the DOJ's first major case against algorithm collusion. Last week, real estate giant Greystar, as we reported, agreed to a $7 million settlement over claims it used RealPage's software to charge above market rates. Talk to a realtor that's in that space, and you can understand why this is an issue. And if you're looking for a place and you can't understand why they're so high, it starts with this. So we'll keep you posted. Retail sales disappointment as shoppers spend more carefully. The Census Bureau released retail sales data for the first time in about 2 months yesterday, and the picture wasn't encouraging. Headline retail sales rose 0.2% in September, falling short of economists' expected 0.4% and slowing significantly from the 0.6% rise the month before. But better than expected results released the same day by a number of top retailers, include those like Kohl's, Best Buy, and Burlington stores, show that Americans are still shopping, even if they're increasingly selective, seeking deals and pulling back on discretionary spending. Dick's, that's the sporting goods group, will shutter an undisclosed number of Foot Locker stores to keep the recently acquired retailer from becoming a further drag on its profits. Dick's Sporting Goods raised its outlook while reporting third quarter earnings on Tuesday, but investors reacted warily to the Foot Locker integration. And last but not least, Apple is announcing job cuts to its sales division. They confirmed this late Monday that it's reorganized its sales divisions, cutting dozens of positions, which is considered a rare move from the company. The layoffs include managers who work on key business, school, and government accounts. Apple also contends the change is meant to increase efficiency, but some staff tell Bloomberg they believe it is motivated by the company's desire to boost work with third-party resellers. And you guys also know, if you're an Apple person, that CEO Tim Cook has announced that he's looking to move on. So they're going to be looking for a replacement in the weeks to come. So there you go. A couple of Choose Views news items on this November 26, 2025, also known as Thanksgiving Eve. So I hope you guys are going to be out and about safely and traveling safely, as I've said all week, and that you got your shopping done if you are doing anything particular on Thanksgiving, or if you're going to someone's house and you're taking something, that you've got a lot of that out of the way. But whatever it is, please be safe in your travels. And you know what? I'm not a plate filler. Let's get into a little bit of fun for a few moments. I'm not a plate filler, and neither should you be. You stack your plate with a little bit of everything. It's just like, just do yourself a health favor this Thanksgiving. Don't be a plate filler. Put a few things on, then go back for seconds, and then go back for thirds. But if you fill up that plate, Matt, it's virtually impossible to get through it. I mean, if you do, you're like sitting there and everybody else is sitting in the living room watching the football game or the parade, and you're sitting. You guys get it. I'm just having a little bit of fun. Don't be a plate filler. Be moderate with how you put that first helping on, and then go back for seconds, because then you have some room for dessert. Because dessert is also one of the biggest parts of that Thanksgiving meal. So anyhow, just having a little bit of fun with the upcoming holiday. And let us all make sure to remember those that are in need, as I said on Monday. Even at this last minute, if you can contribute to, and I know that a lot of places when you check out from the grocery store, Matt, have the ability to contribute to a family or families. So if you can do that, you get one less item for you and you put that money toward a family that is in need. That's a good thing. I'm not being preachy. You guys know me by now. That's kind of how I think. If you can help out a family or help out folks, even when you're checking out at this last minute, then go ahead and do it. It's going to be the right thing to do. And hopefully it'll make you feel good about being a part of the solution rather than part of the problem when it comes to food insecurity for so many folks. And if you still can contribute some time to a food shelter or any of those places that are helping out, then try to do that as well. So there you go. Be upset with me if you need to be, but just want to put out those good words so that we can all feel as though we're part of this. We're pulling the rope in the same direction. So there you go. All right, I'm going to take just a quick moment to, as we talk about the holiday season and all that. We have had a tremendous number of folks that have responded and not responded, but sent emails and various inquiries about different things that we cover and this, that, and the other. So I'm going to do my best in the weeks to come, and certainly as we get into the new year, to add some other things to the show. We'll probably add some business topics and some other things that are relevant to our, like, for example, we'll talk about tariffs. We'll talk about the impact of that. We'll talk about some of the economic issues that are going on and have some guests on there that will be thought provokers, if you will, in that space. So we've been hearing. I've been getting your emails and your text messages about having a person on from this particular group or from this particular topic. So we're working on that. Just to let you know, your emails have been heard. They haven't fallen on deaf ears, as I've said before. It's just the process of getting in touch with those people and getting in touch with their people to get them on the show. But we will be covering some of those topics and some of the other things that you guys have asked about. Just to let you know, I hadn't had a chance to mention that, so it didn't miss me. Just got to build it and get it in place so that we could do it the right way. So, Matt, let's we have our segment coming up in a little bit. I know. Before we go to the break, this is one of the things I wanted to talk to you. I mentioned that I would read to you guys. This is an article over at heartlandsignal.com. It's a great article about the tariffs, talking about a report that has recently come out. Just want to give you guys some of the highlights. You guys can read it yourself, but it's a really good article that will help you better understand what's happening in certain states or in communities when it comes to tariffs. Report says Montana is seeing some of the biggest increased cost under Trump's tariffs. So the new report shows that inflation under President Donald Trump's second term has resulted in families paying significantly more for goods, despite Republican claims that costs are decreasing. Using data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics on consumer price, the Consumer Price Index, Democrats on the Joint Economic Committee, known as the JEC, estimates that the average U.S. household has spent $706 more for goods and services in the first 8 months of Trump's second term. Montana has seen some of the largest increases in costs, spurring a statement from Democratic National Committee Chair Ken Martin. Quote, in Donald Trump's America, Montanans are bearing the costs of Trump's disastrous economic agenda that has already cost Montana families $894 more in the first 6 months of his presidency, according to Martin. Trump's reckless trade wars, billionaire first policies, and broken promises to lower costs have devastated communities across Montana with no end in sight. Monthly costs are rising, and families in Montana are paying more because of Trump and his Republican lackeys do not have a plan to make life more affordable for working people in this country. Here's just some quick numbers. Illinois, $766. Ohio, $659. Pennsylvania, $733. Have also seen costs soar. So, while President Trump claimed that he would bring prices down, the reality is that Americans have seen their costs soar even higher since he took office, according to U.S. Senator from New Hampshire, Maggie Hassan. As families across the country spend more on more to pay their bills and put food on the table, Democrats and Republicans should be working together to lower costs. Instead, Trump is campaigning on what he promised and has failed at. So there you go. You can catch the full article at heartlandsignal.com. But the point I'm making here, as I said at the beginning of the show, wasteful. The Republicans have been wasteful. Trump, of course, as president. And this is why we have to keep focused on going after them, not coming after our own. It's wasteful for us to come after our own. We want to put better people in offices. We want to have better candidates. We want to have people that are going to get in there and be more diverse in their thinking and their activities. All those things, yes. But the thing that we have to remind ourselves of is that the Republicans are the ones that are at the tip of the spear when it comes to this, economic carnage that so many people are going through. And I can tell you that our recipe for success, part of it at least, one of the ingredients has to be that. It cannot be us turning on ourselves. It has to be finding the new voices and putting the right people in place and propping them up. But at the same time, we have to continue to keep the heat on the Republicans. That's got to be part of our conversation, whether it be me, whether it be other hosts, whether it be other shows, other stations, other platforms. We have to remember that. That's the thing that's going to help get the message across, is that we deliver the message and we don't wait, because corporate media ain't doing the job. Trust me. Let's take a quick break, guys. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Check Up on Health with Chris Whitting.
Millions of Americans get acid reflux or heartburn relief by using some type of antacid or acid blocker medication. Dr. Stephen Pekin of Camden Cooper Hospital in New Jersey says there's an option for some chronic sufferers.
A procedure called endocinch. Rather than having to have surgery, we have a special sewing machine attachment to our video camera endoscope, and we can actually tighten up the valve at the end of the esophagus. It's done on an outpatient basis, and you go home the same day and go back to work the next day.
It's not for everyone, of course. There are medications on the shelves now which combine the quick action of an antacid and the long-lasting effects of an acid blocker. That's a great way to stop acid from coming up the esophagus and prevent the possibility of esophageal cancer. With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A wind advisory remains in effect. We'll see a few scattered snow showers here for today with cloudy skies and temperatures holding rather steady. Windy west winds around 30 to 35 miles per hour, gusting as high as 50. For tonight, decreasing cloud cover, a low near 26. Thanksgiving Thursday, sunshine breezy, high 33 degrees. Friday, sunny, high of 32. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 35.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. Had a great opportunity to interview the Lieutenant Governor-elect of the great state of Virginia. And with that being said, Maddie B is going to bring it to you right now. Welcome back to Choose Views, listeners. We're so glad to have you with us this morning. And you guys know that a couple of weeks ago, the Democratic Party did something that a lot of people said wasn't going to happen or wasn't even, realistic that could happen. And we won a number of elections throughout the country. We know the big ones. We won some smaller ones, which are important, but we won some big ones. And one of the big ones was, of course, the governor's race in the great state of Virginia. And I'm so proud to have with us this morning one of the people that was a mighty force in us sort of turning back the clock when it comes to politics in the state of Virginia. And that is Ghazala Hashmi, who is the lieutenant governor. And I'm so glad to have you with us this morning. I should say Lieutenant Governor-elect Hashmi. It's just a wonderful thing to have you with us on Choose Views this morning. I'm still glowing from the victories that you guys had in the state of Virginia. So welcome to Choose Views this morning.
Well, good morning. I'm so delighted to join you.
So there's a ton of questions to ask you. I think the first one is going to be really, how has this impacted you? How are you feeling? We're 2 weeks since the election, and there's all sorts of conversations around it. But how are you feeling right now about this victory?
Well, personally, I'm just feeling completely gratified and honored by the trust that Virginia's voters have placed in me personally. In Virginia, we don't run as a ticket. And so the lieutenant governor, the governor, we are each responsible for our own campaigns. And it was a tough race. It was a tough primary. And then going into the general election, we wanted to make sure that Virginia understood who I am, the values that I bring, and the unique opportunity to represent so many people that have felt historically marginalized or disenfranchised by the processes of politics. And we had a resounding victory, double-digit victory in our campaign. And it just shows that Virginia is ready to respond to the chaos in Washington, and Virginia is really ready for the leadership that I am bringing, as well as our first woman governor, Abigail Spanberger. So this is a pretty seismic change in Virginia politics, certainly.
It definitely is. And I will say that Virginia, D.C. metropolitan area, Maryland, Baltimore, it's sort of second home-ish for me. And there's a very specific reason why. Listeners have heard me talk about this before. My sister and brother-in-law are both retired from the Navy and the Marine Corps, and they live there. They're residents of the state. And I remember talking to my sister, I think it was on Friday prior to the election. I called her just to check in. How you doing? She said, listen, I'll call you back. Jim and I are on our way to vote, to early vote. And I, as baby brothers do to big sisters, I kind of tease her. I said, well, that's good that you're getting out on the, it was a Friday morning. I said, and you're heading out to vote. And I tease her. I said, who are you voting for though? And she so she's excited. My brother-in-law's excited. So many of their friends, which you've become friends of mine indirectly, that live in Virginia, are thrilled to death that the team that's going to lead the state, two strong, brilliant, well-educated women, are going to be leading the state of Virginia. And for me, it means a lot because, like I said, it's kind of second home for me. I'm there 4 or 5 times a year. So kudos to you and to Governor-elect Spanberger. I have to ask you this question, and for those that don't know the politics of elections in Virginia, you stated earlier about how you run, but now that you both have been elected, how are you? What have you guys been talking about? I know that can't talk about everything, but what do you guys have been, in your crystal ball or in your future thinking, looking to do right out of the gate? What's on your dartboard?
Well, the good news is that, Governor-elect Spanberger and I actually had overlapping districts when she was first elected to Congress, and then I was first elected to the state Senate. We represented many of the same constituencies, and we have been focused on the issues that impact a wide range of our constituents. And so one thing that we know coming out of the gate right now is that we're facing a serious crisis in Virginia, and that is a crisis that's being unfortunately handed to us by the federal government. Virginia is home to hundreds of thousands of federal workers, many of whom have already lost their jobs as a result of the drastic DOGE cuts, unprecedented job losses for federal workers, and then the shutdown that we just went through has impacted and devastated many communities. And so just this week, we're beginning these conversations around what the budget is going to look like. Virginia's developing its next 2-year budget, and I'm actually headed down to the Senate Appropriations Committee meeting in just a couple of hours. We're going to spend the next 3 days looking at where we are financially in Virginia, anticipating where those dramatic dramatic cuts to Medicaid are going to land, how they're going to impact our families, and what we can do at the state level to respond to those cuts. And you mentioned your family here in Virginia. You know, Virginia is blessed to have so many military families and veterans, and we know that this population in particular is being impacted by from the federal government. And so making sure that our veterans' healthcare systems are able to deliver the necessary care and support is a top priority, and being able to position our families in a stronger economic posture is going to be our focus points. We have to lower the cost of groceries and prescription drugs. We're working on plans to make childcare accessible for working families. So all of these are top priorities for us coming out of the gate. And we know this General Assembly coming up in January is going to be a challenging one, but we are going to come out of the gate with some very strong legislative proposals.
That's really exciting to hear. So many other, we're obviously based here in Illinois with our show and our station, but we've got a similar, we're kind of like cousins in so many ways in terms of how we try to operate. Virginia and Illinois both have, dominant metropolitan areas, that being D.C. there and Chicago here. But then we have our suburban and our rural communities that are largely dependent on what happens in the metropolitan area. What's one of the things that's unique, though, about Virginia is that, your state capital is a very, very strong arm to the rest of the state, and in terms of people that live there, and also when you get down into the Tidewater and the Norfolk area, and how impactful that is to the state's performance. So it's great to see that you guys have already got some plans, you and the governor-elect, in terms of what you want to get done with this next legislative session in 2026. That's exciting to see and hear. Like our governor here, Pritzker, and our Lieutenant Governor Stratton are kind of the same mindset to get that state legislature functioning well, which means that the state is going to do so much better. Question about regional politics and then national politics. Next door, you've got this great governor, Wes Moore, and he's doing some wonderful things, and I know that you guys are going to be in that same mode. But how do you feel that your victories, plural, are going to be, how will they impact other parts of the country as it relates to the shift that we all know that we need to take and make right now?
Well, I'm so excited by the opportunity that we now have in Virginia. We've had divided government over the last 4 years with a Republican Governor Youngkin, who has been quite visible in supporting MAGA and extremist politics, and an AG who has refused to protect Virginians. And so now we are able to come in with a trifecta, a very strong trifecta. We picked up 13 seats in the House of Delegates as well. So we have a very strong majority in the House. The Senate was not up for election this year, but we have the majority in the Senate as well. And now with a Democratic governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general, we're actually able to form those critical coalitions across states that have been remarkably positioned to respond to the crisis that's coming from the disaster that is the Trump administration. And, we've got an attorney general now that will sign on to those, the challenges to the illegal actions of the Trump administration. We have a governor that's going to be building the coalition with other Democratic governors across the country. It's so much of the work has now fallen to state leadership, and that's a critical reason why I ran for lieutenant governor. As the federal government dismantles itself and creates so much harm to so many families, we need to have resiliency at the state level. We need leadership that's going to respond to the federal crisis, and also be willing to take up those challenges that we need to in order to protest when civil rights are being challenged, when voting rights are being attacked, and when critical and essential social safety net is being dismantled in front of our eyes. That's what a democratic leadership is going to do across the states and with our regional partners now.
That's so exciting. So exciting to hear. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we're talking with newly elected, I guess we could say, Lieutenant Governor-elect of Virginia, Ghazala, Hashmi. And we so appreciate your background, English background in terms of your degrees, a PhD in English. And I think that, sometimes people forget about the importance of English as part of our dialogue and understanding, writing skill sets and putting together good sentences and being able to deliver a message. And there's not a lot of folks, years ago that you're getting an English degree and then getting a PhD in that area. How has that impacted and helped you as a politician?
I love that question. And, when I first ran for office, I was a very improbable candidate. Nobody asked me to run. Nobody asked me to run in 2019 for the state Senate. And a lot of people questioned how I would translate the work that I'd been doing for 30 years, teaching American literature, especially, into the work of government. And there's an old saying, you campaign with poetry and then you govern in the vein of prose. Yeah. I would like to think that I keep the poetry going. So when I first ran for office, I actually would, on my campaign speeches, integrate the poetry of Walt Whitman, the great American poet, and the poetry of Langston Hughes. And I think what my background allows me to do, because it is in American literature, is to bring in that broad perspective of American discourse, the narratives that have shaped our understanding of who and what we are, the various identities that are part of this country, and also the foundational text of our democratic vision, which is unique and which has shaped the vision of democracy across the world. And by integrating my academic background with the message I was bringing, that resonated with voters, and it continues to resonate with voters. And I'm so glad you mentioned the communication skills that English teachers in particular bring in. This time around, as I was campaigning for Lieutenant Governor, I often shared that I am a mild-mannered English teacher, but English teachers are the ones that are teaching the books that other people are trying to ban, and we love words. And I would always conclude my speech that the most important word right now in our country is a simple pronoun, and it's the pronoun that is the very first word of our Constitution, and it is "we the people." And that message really affected many, many voters. They understood the critical moment we're in, where it really is up to we the people to respond to the crisis that we're facing nationally.
That's so well put, Madam Lieutenant Governor. I love that. It actually gave me a chill because it reminded me of my English literature and American literature teacher in high school. She was one of my biggest advocates in all of my classes and all of my sports and extracurricular activities on the debate team and all that stuff. And she grounded me in the importance of effective communication. And to this day, and I went down the business path and became a financial person. But to this day, the skill set that I learned from her, from someone like you, has never failed me. So I'm grateful to that. And that's why I wanted to highlight what the importance of that with your background and what that means for the state when it comes to education and our children there in Virginia and really throughout the rest of the country.
Absolutely. I've been honored to serve as the chair of our Senate Education and Health Committee. And, Virginia has faced under this current governor, we faced efforts to dismantle public education in the same way that Project 2025 has laid out at the national level. And because Democrats have been in charge of the General Assembly, we have been able to block all of those bills that have tried to harm public education. For me personally, public education is the greatest public good. I'm going to fight till the very end to make sure that we protect and that we enhance our public education offerings here in Virginia.
Yeah, and that's going to be one of those domino things that's going to impact, obviously education's impacted, healthcare then becomes impacted because people become more aware of their health and the importance of it. It leads to so many wonderful things in terms of developing leaders for the future. So that's a very exciting thing to hear. You, meaning Virginia, like us here in Illinois, have that luxury, if you want to call it that, benefit of the trifecta. We've got a Democratic governor, lieutenant governor, AG, secretary of state, both chambers, and our biggest city has a Democratic mayor. So we, like you, have those similarities, and that's what I was referring to earlier. There are other states that when the trifecta is in place, it's really interesting about, our ideas are better. The way that we want to get things are better, not just for the folks that vote for you, but for everyone. That's part of the democracy. And when we have that state legislative arm working properly, and then we have the larger offices, if you will, in terms of AG, Secretary of State, Lieutenant Governor, and Governor, it's amazing how much gets done. Like Governor Whitmer says in Michigan, blank gets done when we're in power. I got to keep it clean because we're live radio, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, that's got to be something you're very excited about going forward.
I was fortunate when I was first elected to the state Senate. I came in 2020 with my first session. We were in a trifecta at that moment. We had a Democratic governor and lieutenant governor and AG. Right. We scored. My success in the state Senate actually brought in the majority to the Virginia Senate by the slim margin of one seat. So I also then brought in the trifecta, and we did get a lot done in those 2 years under our Democratic trifecta. We passed critical gun safety legislation that had hit stone walls because of Republican blocks. We were able to pass the ERA finally in Virginia. We passed historic legislation that improved voting access in Virginia. And we also passed the Reproductive Health Care Act that now continues to protect Virginia's women despite everything else we've seen in other southern states. Virginia's the last state to... Virginia's the last state in the South to continue to protect safe and legal access to abortion. And so that's what a trifecta does. When it's Democrats in power, we actually get a lot done.
Yeah, like Governor Whitmer said, I'll find the clip and send it to you. But she was referencing her success in that with alongside of Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania. And it's true. I want to come back, and I know we got to wrap up because you got to get going. But the thing that's interesting right now is as Virginia goes, and we can look at the history of this, as Virginia goes, the nation somewhat goes in that direction. And that's what I'm excited about as it relates to what's coming up in the upcoming midterms, and we get into 2026, is that the nation does seem to kind of take a little bit of a lesson or whatever from what Virginia does. And if that's the case this time around, where we're going to be able to take back control of some things that we need to be in control of for the betterment of the country. What are your thoughts there?
Well, we in Virginia always say that as Virginia goes, so goes the nation. And we really do see our...
I told you I know a little bit about Virginia politics because of my family being there. Sorry.
our election cycles are off cycle from the rest of the country, and so we are a bellwether. And this November's election in particular is a signal, I think, for what's going to happen in the 26 midterms. And I'm really excited at the caliber of candidates we have running all across the country, the opportunity we have to flip so many congressional seats. You know, we've got 2 congressional seats in Virginia right now that are Republican held that we feel really good about being able to take those seats in this upcoming election. I think we're going to see some pretty seismic changes. The disaster that is the Trump administration, the disaster that is Congress led by Mike Johnson is quite apparent. And what we saw happen in Virginia was a clear reaction to national politics as well as a desire for strong state level leadership. So I think we're going to see that in other parts of the country.
And it's very exciting. So listen, as we wrap up, a couple things I'll say. One of them is this. At some point, I'm going to make a point of meeting you because you have been such an inspiration to so many people. And, you know, I know that when I'm there visiting family, I don't always make it down to the state capitol, but at some point, we definitely want to have another conversation with you on this show, because my goal is to amplify the voices of the leaders anywhere in the country that are doing the work that so many people know is needed and elected them to do. So once again, Madam Lieutenant Governor-elect, thank you for your hard work and your commitment to making things better for not only the state of Virginia, but for the country at large. And I'll ask you, how can folks follow you? How can folks get involved and send you some shout outs and say, hey, Madam Lieutenant Governor, thank you for what you're doing?
Well, thank you so much, and would love to see you in Richmond when you do visit Virginia. But I would love to have folks follow the work that we're going to be doing in the next 4 years. I am on social media, Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and so forth. So right now it's under the label of Senator Hashmi. We will be making the transitions into the new title in a few weeks. And our website is still in development, but it'll be up and running soon, and would love to have people follow us.
So when is I should know this, but when do you get sworn in officially?
January 17th is actually the inauguration day. So for the first 3 days of the January session, I will be seated in the Senate chamber as a senator representing the Richmond area.
That's right.
Then Saturday afternoon, I really look forward to the honor of taking that oath of office.
What a great weekend. It's King Weekend, so there'll be a lot of great things happening. So kudos to you again for being with us. Lieutenant Governor-elect Ghazala Hashmi from the great state of Virginia, thank you for being with us on Choose Views. We wish you all the success, and I would be honored to have you back on the show anytime. We'll make it happen. Does that sound okay?
That sounds wonderful. Great to talk to you.
You too, ma'am. Thank you for being with us, and have a great day. Travel safely.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye-bye. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human being. It was so, you could hear it in my voice. I was so excited to talk with her. And I'm excited to talk with her about what she's going to get done, but also more broadly excited about what's the numbers are going to represent in the state of Virginia. And as Virginia goes, in many ways, the nation does because of its proximity to Washington, D.C. And there's so much data information that I've drawn over the years from the relationships that I had there and family and all. But I think she's going to do a great job, and I'm excited for her and the governor-elect, and that we can steer Virginia in a certain direction and hopefully steer the country in a better direction. And it's that kind of leadership, that kind of ability to have a trifecta to get things done. We get things done, guys. Look at Michigan. Look at Illinois. Look at Pennsylvania. Look at California. The blue state. The irony is we always get trash talked by GOP. They don't get anything done in their states by and large. But when we have the majority in a state, on a state legislatures, and the top 3 governor, lieutenant governor, and I should say 4 AG and secretary of state, we get stuff done. It's a fact. Look at the data. And that's what's exciting about what's happened there. So congrats again to Lieutenant Governor-elect Ghazala Hashmi. check her out, follow her, give her all the pluses and the kudos that you can. It's what helps keep our Democratic leaders motivated and moving forward, whether they're in the state you live in or in a different state. And I think that's the difference right now for us, Maddie B, is we need to take control of the conversation. And one of the ways we do it is by helping out elected officials in other states the states that we don't live in. The more we can do that, I think the better. It shows that we're connected as a community. Let's take a quick break. Top of the hour, you're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
WCPT replay.
Thank God former U.S. Attorney Glenn Kirshner is here.
Listen, we've gone from government of the people, by the people, and for the people to government against the people. That's where we are right now. In all things Donald Trump is doing, he's trying to hurt the American people, right? And, you know, the power that because look, no judge is going to save us. No prosecutor is going to save us. No politician is going to save us. If the Dems could have saved us, they would have done so already, right? They can't save us. It's up to us. And that's why I'm talking about how we have to wield our power. And we've got to get out there, you know, far more frequently in the streets in far bigger numbers peacefully, because we're the only ones who have the power to stop government against the people.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. With the summer finally being here and everyone going on those vacations, let's look at some hotels that support the Democratic Party. Hyatt Hotels. Now, Hyatt Hotels is owned by the Pritzker family. Why does that Pritzker name sound so familiar? That's right, Governor J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois. Safe to say that Hyatt Hotels supports the Democratic Party. Choice Hotels. Now, Choice Hotels donated $1.3 million to Democrats in 2024. And if you're wondering, Choice Hotels owns Quality Inn, Sleep Inn, Lacono Lodge, and Roadway Inn. Wyndham Hotels. Now, Wyndham Hotels owns Super 8, Days Inn, Aquanita, Ramada, and more. Marriott. Marriott donated $228,000 to Democrats in 2024, and Hilton Hotels donated $241,000 to Democrats in 2024. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Not only does Progressive let you bundle your insurance, but they also give you round-the-clock protection. Quote today at Progressive.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. A report says U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff advised President Vladimir Putin's foreign policy advisor on how to pitch a Russia-Ukraine peace plan to President Trump. A transcript of the call was published by Bloomberg News yesterday. According to the transcript of the October 14th call, Witkoff advised Yuri Ushakov that Putin should call Trump to congratulate him for the Gaza peace plan, say Russia had supported it, and that he respects the president as a man of peace. When asked by Russian state media to comment on Bloomberg's report, Ushakov did not question the recording's authenticity, but said they had not been leaked by Moscow. He also said he spoke to Witkoff quite often. Trump described Witkoff's reported approach as standard negotiating procedure. AP correspondent Julia Frankel reports Israel has returned 15 more Palestinian bodies to Gaza as the first phase of the ceasefire nears an end.
On Wednesday, Israel and Hamas completed the latest swap of the ceasefire agreement, which really is bringing the first phase of the agreement to a conclusion. Israel handed over 15 more Palestinian bodies, and the Palestinian militants the day before handed over the body of hostage Dror Or, who was killed by the militants in their October 7th, 2023 attack that kickstarted the war in Gaza. With this latest swap, there are 2 more hostages whose remains are still in Gaza. Hamas reiterated on Wednesday that it was committed to returning them, but getting to the second phase of the deal is going to prove challenging because it involves developing a international stabilization force to deploy, as well as a governance system for the Gaza Strip. Officials were meeting in Egypt to discuss how to get to the second phase on Wednesday.
More information at apnews.com. This is AP News. Taiwan has announced a $40 billion budget for arms purchases as the U.S. pressures the island to increase its defense spending.
The president of Taiwan says $40 billion will be spent on arms purchases, including the building of a Taiwan Dome, an air defense system with high-level detection and interception capabilities, as the U.S. pressures the island to up its defense spending. President Lai Ching-te says China's threats to Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific region are escalating. Recently, various types of military intrusions, maritime gray zones, and disinformation campaigns have been occurring in Japan, the Philippines, and around the Taiwan Strait, causing deep unease and distress to all parties in the region. Taiwan is a self-ruled island, but is claimed by China. I'm Donna Warder.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A wind advisory remains in effect. We'll see a few scattered snow showers here for today with cloudy skies and temperatures holding rather steady. Windy west winds around 30 to 35 miles per hour, gusting as high as 50. For tonight, decreasing cloud cover, a low near 26. Thanksgiving Thursday, sunshine breezy, high 33 degrees. Friday, sunny, high of 32. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 36.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
This is Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Choose Views, featured interviews, and full episodes. Podcasts are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeart, YouTube, Amazon Music. Search for Choose Views or visit our new podcast page at heartlandsignal.com/podcast. Get all the latest stuff that's there. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be talking to Margaret Donovan, visiting lecturer in law at Yale Law School, former assistant U.S. attorney for the District of Connecticut, and former captain in the Judge Advocate General Corps. Jane Kirtley, a professor of media ethics and law at the University of Minnesota, and former executive director of the Reporters Committee for Freedom of the Press. Dan Schaefer, member of the Chicago Gay Men's Chorus, which presents a Holly Dolly Christmas, December 5th through the 7th. And Rich Eberwines will be joining her as well. Live, Local, and Progressive. Live, Local, and Progressive, 2 to 5 on WCPT, Progressive, Chicago's Progressive Talk for 20 years. Sorry about that, guys. And then tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by Pat Cortese, the chair of the McLean County Democrats. He's also a candidate for the Illinois Democratic State Central Committee. And car guy Tom Appel, host of the Consumer Guide Car Stuff podcast. That's Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez. Weekdays 5 to 7 here on WCPT, Heartland Signal, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. That was a lot to say, man. Golly. But speaking of a lot to say, I almost feel like I should have intro music for Kurt. I got to figure that. Maybe we'll come up with something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll put it out there. It's Wednesday. Today, particularly, is the Wednesday that is the as I've been calling it, Thanksgiving Eve. And with us this morning is our good friend and contributor Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Good morning, Kurt, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. You guys didn't see this, but he and I were tipping our hats to each other once Kurt came up on the screen on YouTube, putting our glasses on, tipping our hat to each other, and saying good morning. What you and I should reach out to Michael Bay, Will Smith, and Martin Lawrence, and all the production people there, and say, listen. Why don't you do a comedic version of Bad Boys and call it, Bad Boys from the Midwest, and make it you and me? What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Oh man,
sounds like a great idea.
I think it's a great idea. So Kurt, right out of the gate, what does and what has Thanksgiving meant to you and your family and all the folks that are in your universe?
Oh man, you're going really deep right away, aren't you? I have to be honest with you, Richard. Thanksgiving had always meant a day of family and gathering when my parents were alive, especially my mother.
Right.
It was a beautiful holiday that I really look forward to. My mom and I had a great relationship. I'm one of 8 kids, and not that she didn't love all her kids, but I was extremely close to my mother, and I learned a lot of my who I am from my mother, and cooking was one of the things that we had in common. I love to spend time in the kitchen with my mom, and I've learned a lot of things from her.
Yeah.
I still can't make the fudge like she used to make, but
none of us can.
No,
I can't. But, I can't make a pound cake like my mother made it. It's not even close. But I can make an okay one or an apple crisp. But I can't touch what Bertha Chu could do. Go ahead, man. Sorry.
Yeah, but that was just something that it was always a great time for me and her. Thanksgiving and Christmas, we enjoyed. I spent after Dad passed away. We spent, I picked her up and brought her out to my house, and we spent the whole day together.
Yeah.
It's different now with my family, and we just don't get together like we used to. There's division in our family caused by what's going on in our country right now, and it's sad.
Yeah.
And we try not to let it, happen, but
it's out there. And that's, thank you for as always, having the courage to speak truth, and you always do. And I think that's where we get to grow, when we recognize. And let me just share this with you. You are not alone in the last 3 sentences that you just stated, in terms of how it's different now. And some of it's driven off of where we are politically and socially, and the divisions that have unfortunately grown to the height in which they have. And in my mind, it's a doggone shame. But at the same time, the other side of that is we have an opportunity to try to fix that or mend some of it by by having the courage to risk talking about it. That we can't relive the past, and neither should we, but we can draw from it as a tool to not repeat some things, but some things to hold on to. And, President Obama talks about that a lot, in terms of the past is a good tool for learning. And it's a anchor in some ways to learning for the future. So I think that's really, me, I'm do my best to try to look at things with glass half full. And, you and I are proud mama's boys who grew up to be mama's men. I guess if I'm making up a word, but you know what I'm trying to say. And I think other folks can appreciate it. So we take that and we go forward with it. And you and I get to be the bad boys today that get to try to fix some of this stuff, or at least mend some of the craziness that's going on right now. And Lord knows there's a lot of it.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah.
I can't really add too much to that. You nailed it on. You hit the nail on the head.
So. Yeah.
I got a question for you, though. Being a white boy from Indiana, and
what's that?
You being a
chocolate
black
version
guy from Chicago, yeah. And you sent me something that I rolled over laughing, and I've had to watch it a couple times, and you sent it to me on Instagram. But what is, I think it was fried burris? Is that what it was called?
Oh, you mean
on the
okay. Let me set the stage.
White man's Thanksgiving compared to a black man or a black family's Thanksgiving.
Let me set the stage. Okay,
what is that?
Respectfully, it's probably something I'm going to even have to say. I'm not quite sure. Okay, what am I? What is it that Kurt and I are talking about? So, as we all do when we communicate, and guys, we may not talk about anything substantive today, but just have some fun. And if that's all Kurt and I do, then that's what we do today, because I think that that's also the underbelly of what we're all trying to do in this crazy world, is find ways to have fun and connection. So here's what happened. We all are on social media in some capacity. We're all looking at something on the variety of different outlets that are there. And I'll be the first to say that I am one to, if I see something funny and humorous, I'm going to send it to people in my world. And most of it's very risque, stuff I can't say on the air. And most of it's funny as hell. And I know that people that are listening right now, Michelle Peltier and I share stuff back and forth. Natalie Ziemba and I share stuff back and forth. Karen Byrne and I certainly share stuff. And you and I do. And so there is a comedian. He also has a podcast, a radio show, and all the rest. His name is Ricky Smiley. So what I would suggest you guys do is Google Ricky Smiley Thanksgiving. And he does a bit where he talks about the different... He basically says, and Ricky Smiley's African American, so I'll try to get through this without laughing before I tell the punchline or whatever. He's African American. He's doing a stage bit, and he's talking about he's done going to black families' Thanksgiving dinners because basically he said, I'm going to start going to my white family's Thanksgiving dinners because my white family's Thanksgiving dinners are simple. It's very straightforward. It's a turkey, it's sides, and some dessert, and that's it. But he goes down on this rant, and I think it's hilarious. I think that Kurt thinks it's hilarious, and I knew he would appreciate it, where he says, I'm tired of going to black families' Thanksgiving dinners because he laundry lists all the things that show up at a black family's Thanksgiving dinner. And I don't want to try to repeat any of it. It's not worth the time.
Right.
But you guys should Google it if you want to laugh. And but whatever community or culture you're from, you will appreciate this, because I'm pretty certain that if you're progressive, liberal, Democrat, and you listen to this show, you probably got some white folks and some black folks and some Hispanic folks and some Asian folks and some Middle Eastern folks and all the rest, LGBTQ folks in your community. And you will appreciate the humor that a black man is throwing at black family Thanksgiving meals. So that's what Kurt and I are talking about.
Yeah, it was hilarious, and he's just speaking the truth, man. I mean,
he's poking fun, but he's speaking the truth. Trust me, I know from having been black all my life.
Yeah. I mean. Hey, white folk, you just, turkey stuffing, some green beans, and hey, you called it a day. But then, I mean, this dude listed, it took him about 3 minutes to get through. And then at one point in time, he laid down on the stage because he was getting tired of talking. That's great. I just want to thank you. But I've tried to find what fried burris is.
Hey man, listen, I gotta listen. I gotta listen to it again, and then I'll let you know. I'll talk.
Let me know what you find out.
I have an auntie that I can ask her, and she'll tell me exactly what it is. And I'm getting.
Yeah, but everything else I'd heard of pretty much. I knew exactly what he was talking about.
So here's the thing. And by the way, let me take care of business. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, and ARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we're talking with our great friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 on this pre-Thanksgiving celebration, Thanksgiving Eve show. The thing that's so cool about what Ricky Smiley does in this bit is it speaks to, he's telling the truth, but it speaks to how our cultures do actually have so much that we get to blend together. And, we hear this phrase that's commonly used now about, who's invited to the picnic and who's invited to the cookout. And I dare say that folks like Ricky Smiley, a comedian, and speaking this truth. He really is just saying, hey, listen, y'all, we're all a part of this, and we all are we're responsible for fixing it. We can have fun and joke with each other and tease each other when we care about each other and respect each other and we trust each other. And that's to overlay that to the national political conversation. Like Lieutenant Governor-elect Hashmi said, we have the opportunity to change things if we connect with each other in the right way and we put the right people in place to do those things. And he did it in a very comedic way. So for those of you who can't find it, send me an email and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, it's worth the watch, but finding it is great. But Richard, I mean that's I don't know. I've never been able to understand why people have to be so, I don't know,
disconnected and biased and disconnected. Because it's like, profitable. Listen, man. The reason is fairly simple, and we just sometimes, we maybe don't want to say it because for whatever reason. But it's because it's profitable. It's profitable for us to be at each other's neck and and for division. It just is. And how many politicians over the years? I mean, we all know the great statement from LBJ. But it's profitable for those at the top to divide those that are not, quote unquote, at the uber top that we have now. The more division that's out there, they're just scooping up all the leavings while we're out here fighting they're scooping up the gold while we're over here fighting over the crumbs. That's why. It's no more than that. It's that simple. Division works. And look at what's happened to us politically on a national level. The division has worked. But what 3 weeks ago showed us is that when we come together, it doesn't work all the time. And we get, like I was saying to Mayor from Dr. Dupree down in Mississippi, when I said to him in the interview, when we can bring together that wisdom of age and the energy of youth and merge those two together, we're going to be extremely dangerous politically in a good way for this country. And it's happening, and we cannot, I'm not going to let us unmoor ourselves from the success of November 4th, because it's not over with. We got a lot of work to do, but man, oh man. And the work that you're doing with bringing some of the young voices to this show and making sure that we highlight and spotlight what they're doing. I mean, that's what it's going to take, because it's profitable. That's why, Kurt. It's profitable.
Yeah. Yeah. I shared some thoughts on our Hoosier Progressives Academy page, telling them, talking about the civil rights movement. I was a young boy, okay, but I had a sister who lived in San Francisco who was very involved with it. And I remember as I got older, we would talk about it and some of the things that she lived 2 blocks away from the Haight-Ashbury district. So she was right there in the middle of it. She was an airline stewardess for TWA. And, the things that were going on at that time, it was the youth. It was the young Americans who put color aside and just did the right thing for each other. And, there were some controversial figures that rose from that time frame. But, the end goal was, everyone had the same objective. It was just, we wanted equality, and things are no different today. I mean, it seems like, we're talking an era that was 60 years ago or more, 50s and 60s, and we're still fighting the same battle today. Yeah. And, I'm trying to encourage the youth, and I think Mamdani has been able to do that with a lot of them, is that have the strength. Your voices are going to be heard if you just speak out, stand tall, be proud, have the confidence. And that's where I think the times are different now, is that the youth of today, there's not as much, confidence in them as maybe what there was in the 60s. I don't know. But
it seems
we have to have them speak out. We're getting old. This is their generation that we're fighting for now. Not ours is, I hope we see the changes, but
Well, I'm gonna be in the fight until the universe calls me out of the game. But I'm not gonna willingly say, okay, I'm done. And I know that you aren't either. I will tell you, I've had some younger people. I mean, let's talk about age for a second in civil rights. Dr. King was 39 when he was assassinated. So that's really, when you think about it, by comparison. So that should give us a lot of hope in terms of our 30-somethings doing what they do. But
be 39, man.
Yeah. So check this out, though, Kurt. When we think about the conversations that we've had with folks that are younger than us, that are getting involved, that are involved in doing things, I've had them say to me, Richard, we appreciate what you're doing. We appreciate the work that you put in, and you've been fighting, all of your adult life. And I've had many of those younger new voices say, "Don't leave us, though." And so there's a part, that's the part where what Dr. Dupree in Mississippi was trying to say. He turned 72 last week, and he said, "I'm still in this fight. I've been in this fight for a long time." But he also recognizes that, we can pull in more younger voices. He wants to hand the baton off to the other folks, the younger folks, but they're also saying, "Don't leave us just yet," because I think that they understand that there's a lot to learn. So that's why I keep coming back to the opportunity, I believe, is that we work harder to connect with them, because they're not all saying, "Let's just kick the old folks aside." They recognize what we brought to the table, and they want some of that so that they can be strong leaders. And I think that that's where it's just such an opportunity. And I'm excited about hearing them say, "Don't leave yet. We want you still in the fight with us." That's encouraging, I believe. And it's the youthful. They're looking to the future in a positive way. I don't know.
Right. And that's a motivator for us. I mean, not that we need one,
right?
But that's just another motivator for us. So,
absolutely, I agree.
Exactly right,
guys. You got to check out Kurt's Substack, Kurt Mullett writes some great stuff, and he probably doesn't want me saying that, but he does. And so you guys got to make your way over to his Substack, because he just really dropped a hammer on something that is not flying under the radar, but something that the mainstream media and the corporate media just does, they don't want to talk about it. Maybe they don't want to talk about it. Maybe they're being told not to talk about it. And that's the MBS and Trump meeting. And, I think that this is just another example of when we talk about this White House and all the cronies, the wealthy cronies getting over right now financially. This is another example. And it's also an example of cravenness marrying up with more cravenness. Kurt, your thoughts on your own article?
Well, first off, thank you. I don't consider myself a writer, but I'm finding myself sitting at my computer more and more, just jotting down my thoughts. I'm just glad I have a proofreader, because, that wasn't my strong point in school. But anyway, so I love my wife for that. Anyway, this come from a podcast that I recorded, and I've got to admit I stepped away from Substack for a couple of weeks because I just needed to clear my head, and I'd stepped away from a lot of things because it just was crazy. And but this meeting that took place on the 10th with this let's face it, this Al-Qaeda terrorist who had a $10 million bounty on his head, who's now in the White House Oval Office making deals with our president. And that's what he's doing. He's making deals.
Yep.
And I in my podcast, I created, just think if Barack Obama had invited Osama bin Laden into the Oval Office, and then when he left, he spoke highly of him and complimented him in his speech. That's a little bit of a reach as far as the comparison, because who Osama bin Laden was, but it's not. It's every bit. I mean, this guy is one of the most heinous Al-Qaeda terrorists and leaders that they had for a while. I mean, we had a $10 million bounty on his head.
Yep.
they removed sanctions so he could come here to meet our president in the Oval Office after they had met earlier in the year. And al-Sharaf said, hey, how about building a Trump Tower in Damascus? Or how about if I give you access to the oil and gas that we have in our country? Because that's what this is all about. People that don't understand that everything this guy does, who's in charge of our country right now, is for the benefits of himself.
Yep.
If he is not going to benefit in a monetary way, he's not going to be involved in it. That's what's happening in Venezuela. It's always been about this. But I was shocked at what occurred and having him in there. And so that I had to jot my thoughts down about it. And it's funny because here's a guy who tried to ban Muslims from traveling into the U.S. during his first term, who's going after Muslims right and left, but he's been a friend of the terrorists for a long time.
Yep.
Remember, he negotiated with the Taliban when this whole Afghan withdrawal took place. Part of that agreement was releasing 5,000 Taliban soldiers. And I know we repeat that a lot, but
it needs to be repeated.
That right there alone is just mind-boggling that it doesn't get.
It's all about going back to your question earlier as we wrap up, and thank you so much as always. But going back to what you said earlier in terms of the why, it's about the money. And it's profitable. So this is all about the money. There's no real strategic reason from a political standpoint to do this because he knows he's going to catch hell politically. So it's about the money. It's about the access to a closer step, one closer step to the oil. Let us not forget that he is the person that said we should have taken the oil. Remember that he said that. Mm-hmm. So it's about that, guys. It's about proximity. And it's also an end around in some ways to still maintain some political connection to Putin. People don't realize that. That's another part of what the why, or what the answer to the why is. Kurt, my man, go back for seconds. Do not load up your plate. Go back for seconds. I saw someone sent me a text that says, yes, going back for seconds is great because you get your steps in.
Unless your kitchen's only 10 feet away.
Well, then you just have to skip and walk backwards and make your way around the long way. So guys, listen.
Hey, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving. And be safe.
You too.
Enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Hope you have a good time.
We will. Stay safe, man. And listen, guys, get with Kurt Mullett's work on social media. You know where to find him. You know what he does. Make sure you're checking him out and giving him all the likes that you can. Thanks, brother, for being with us this morning.
Hey, you too. Give your wife a big hug for me, will you?
Back at you. You got it. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Let's hit a quick break. Maddie B., you're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM, and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
WCPT replay.
Americans are sick of losing. Sick of losing when you get on an airplane and your seat is now half the size it was before, or sick of losing when you just cannot afford to figure out where the food is coming from for the rest of the week, or you're a young person and you think I am never going to have able to own a home, right? I mean, Americans are sick of losing. They want a party that's going to fight for them, that's going to say, you know what, there is plenty of money in this country, and we don't need to take it all from a few people. We need to make more of it and make it so that that profit is yours too, that you have a stake in the way this country is going. And I look at what's happened, these mass mobilizations, and I think, wow, we are going to get there. I just think this movement is going to produce an energetic democratic government that does things at all levels that we haven't seen in 100 years.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Sound familiar? At Mattress Firm, we understand there are many problems that can keep you up at night, like snoring, aches and pains, or sleeping hot. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a mattress that can help. And now at Mattress Firm, you can upgrade to a queen mattress and adjustable base for just $499.99. For the great sleep you deserve, Visit Mattress Firm. We make sleep easy. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill. But those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in. Cool as can be. Tap Good RX. Saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. Deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insurance.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. A wind advisory remains in effect. We'll see a few scattered snow showers here for today with cloudy skies and temperatures holding rather steady. Windy west winds around 30 to 35 miles per hour, gusting as high as 50. For tonight, decreasing cloud cover, a low near 26. Thanksgiving Thursday, sunshine breezy, high 33 degrees. Friday, sunny, high of 32. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 36.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
You're listening to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us this morning. Always great on a Wednesday to have our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 with us. And just love to chat with him about all that's happening. And of course, only from Kurt can we get someone to talk about a great comedy skit that I sent him on Thanksgiving. And, as we so often do on the show, we want to highlight as much as we can our local officials and the people that are running for office in local communities, that are running for office on a state legislative level, because it's where, that's where stuff happens almost at the snap of a finger in many cases, because it is local. And we've been fortunate to have so many great people with us. It's kind of been Iowa's week the last week. We had Caitlin Dre on last Friday, and we're honored today to have a member of the West Des Moines City Council and candidate for Iowa Senate, councilwoman Renee Hardman. Good morning, Ms. Hardman, and welcome to Choose Views on WCPT.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. It's an honor and a privilege. I'm looking forward to our dialogue.
Both ways. I just mentioned that we had no longer Senator-elect Caitlin Dre on, who was sworn in, but that special election, and you guys are stirring up the pot there, as my mother used to say. And I know you know what that means, but y'all are stirring up the pot in a great way.
That's right.
And we are so excited that one of our sister cities and neighboring states is doing the work that you're doing. Tell our audience a little bit about Renee Hardman. Tell us what you've been working on, what you've been elected to, and what you're running for the folks in your great city and your great state.
Okay, great question, an easy question. I first need to give a shout out to Maywood, Illinois. I am from Maywood.
Get out of here.
East High School. And my aunt was principal of Proviso East, so I have roots where you're at.
I didn't know that.
I've had my boots on the ground. Yeah, my mom actually still lives in that area in Forest Park, and so, so love that. I'll be heading to Chicago this weekend for Thanksgiving with my family.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I came to Iowa sight unseen in 1979 to attend Drake University. I didn't want to travel too far away from home, so the next state over was close as I could get. And I wind up loving Iowa, and I loved my experience. My sister also went to Drake, and she left the day she graduated, but I stayed. And I immersed myself in the community and became very involved in nonprofit work, and got a job in mental health, working with people with disabilities, and then later went back to school to get my MBA. And I worked in corporate America for 20 years as a senior VP of HR at a large regional bank here in town. And after that, I became Big Brothers Big Sisters CEO for about 4 years to help that organization. That was where I first got my community service. When I graduated from Drake, I got a little girl who was 6 years of age from Sierra Leone in West Africa. And I mentored her until she was 16 years of age and she graduated from East High School. So to become their CEO of an organization that poured and gave me so much, I was just excited. Now I am a president and CEO of a large organization called LSI, Lutheran Services of Iowa, which has about 450 employees, and we work with immigrant and refugees and people with disabilities and foster care and adoptive care, global greens, you name it, we dabble in a lot of things. But I became a city council person, the first African-American woman elected to city council in West Des Moines, and its 125-year history at that time. I ran and won, and I have been elected 3 times to that seat, most recently this past November. The last 2 elections I ran unopposed in a community that has about 70,000 residents. And I ran because it all starts local. Everything that happens to citizens in terms of what the community looks like and feels like and is all local. And so I dabbled in that and I loved it. And I immersed myself in being a city councilwoman, and the seat became open, and opportunity knocks when you least expect it. And I decided to walk through that door of opportunity. It was because of the untimely death of a phenomenal senator who happened to have been my friend, who actually ran my first city council race. So it's almost coming full circle. When or if I'm elected on December 30th, I'll pay homage to Claire Celsi, who is the senator that I will be taking her seat. And so I ran, and they had a convention, Democratic convention. I think there were 5 of us in the running, and so they selected me to take on this challenge and this opportunity to continue the legacy of fighting for our citizens here in Iowa and fighting for working class families, of which I came from,
Yeah.
So I'll stop there and I can elaborate more as we.
No, I love the stories, and then I don't, I try not to over introduce histories of what folks have done, because it's so much more wonderful to hear someone like you speak about that. And the fact that you, and I didn't know this, and I'm pretty good at finding out stuff, that you have roots in Maywood, Illinois, and the suburb of Chicago. A West Side girl in many ways.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
Kudos to you for sharing that with us. But one of the things that you integrate so well, and I think that, I don't say it's missing, but it certainly will be better for it when there are more folks like you who have integrated the business expertise and acumen with the social services environment. And you so nicely brought those two together. Talk about why that's important, why you lean into that, and what are some of the positive outcomes of having both of those and merging them together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes tons of sense, because sometimes people think when you're on city council, it's about just going to businesses and cutting ribbons. It is really much more than that. You are running a huge multi-million-dollar enterprise, and you have to have some business acumen to understand how local government works in terms of property tax and managing a budget. And do you give more to public safety? And do you give to more human services? Do you support the library, water, all those kinds of things that make municipalities work? You have to balance, that finite resource that you get for property tax of how you're going to spend it on the city. And public safety is a huge area where we try to grow, because our city is growing, and you want to make sure that the feel of this city is a place where people feel safe and there's not a lot of crime. And so you have to invest in that. So my 20 years of working in a bank and also I've been on 21 nonprofits, so I know a lot about the needs of the community, I think was a perfect marriage. And that I ran being a community leader, a business leader, and a person that cares. And so I think that was a combination that resonated very well with the citizens of West Des Moines. And that's how I led. I ran out and I talked to folks, and I said, my motto in life is to listen, learn, and lead in that order. You can't lead if you don't listen and you don't learn, because there's two sides to every story. And every time I push that yes button on the dais, I've got some people upset and some people happy, but I want to lead with being informed on the data, the impact, what it means if we do this, if we do that. So I think my background really was one that helped me understand the nuances of working in a very complicated business like municipal, like West Des Moines.
Yeah. What would you say has been the best or the biggest or the most significant thing of working on the non-business side of leadership has taught you, working with LSI? Something like an organization like what's been, you'd go, Richard, that's the thing right there, or those are the two things that I would say that really have been, sort of rudders for me in my work.
Yeah. I will share with you that I've had such wonderful experiences working on the human services side of my life, and working in places like Big Brothers Big Sisters and LSI, United Way of Central Iowa, and the many boards that I've served. It has granted me an opportunity to look through a window that a lot of people don't care to look through. And you look through this window and you see people that don't want a handout. They want you to lift them up, and they want you to be able to understand where they are in their lives. I'll tell you a story at LSI. When I first joined that organization 2 years ago, we work with legal immigrant refugees where the federal government allows them to come over to the United States. And we are charged with their first 90 days of care to help them matriculate into the community. I went to the airport in Des Moines, Iowa, to pick up a family that was coming over from the Congo. And it was a father and a mother and 4 children. And I saw them coming down the escalator with just 2 little bags in their hands, with this big old badge identifying them as a legal immigrant hanging around their neck. And the family comes down, and we have an interpreter there, and my staff are there, and we're greeting them. And the wife takes my hand and she kisses my hand, and she said something in her language. And I asked the interpreter, what did she say? And she said, I will take your face to my grave. And I'm like, wow. So this woman is saying, you are here to greet my family where I'm now safe and I'm going to thrive. And this moment and this time, I will take to my grave. I got in my car and I wept, because sometimes you don't understand the impact of an embrace, the impact of saying, welcome to the United States of America. You've earned your right after 8 years to be here, and we're going to help you thrive. That was one of the most impactful experiences at LSI. And then, of course, mentoring a young girl from Sierra Leone for, 16, from 6 to 16. And now she is in nursing and doing well, and to be a part of her life and help her matriculate to this country and exposing her to all the things in life. That is also a meaningful experience. And Big Brothers Big Sisters gave me the daughter I never had. And so I got to be a part of that family. And so I just think you have to step out of yourselves, and you have to be where people are at, and you got to meet them where they're at. And you have to be open to learning their culture and their languages and how they live and what they need, and fill in that gap.
That's such a wonderful story, and I thank you for sharing that with us. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking with West Des Moines City Council member at large, Renee Hardman, who is running for that next seat in terms of Iowa Senate. And I'm so excited that you're with us this morning, if you can't hear that in my voice. And I can tell you, our engineer Matt and I both got a little pride in our chest when you told the story about the woman saying she was going to take your face to her grave. That's meaningful, and it's one of those stories that when I hear something like that, I immediately ask the question, how do we take that that experience and your merging of your social and your business acumen to the next level, which is what you're doing. You're about to do in this run, and the National Democratic machine, if you will, has taken note of what you've done there in West Des Moines and what you've accomplished, and I see some strength coming from that national spotlight to you. Let's talk about your run. Let's talk about what you think, how you feel things are going to turn out, what you're doing to move the needle in the direction that you want it to go.
Yeah. Well, I am excited about this run. Every campaign has its challenges, and you have to keep walking through those challenges. But I believe that the numbers are in my favor. I think the district's values are in my favor. And I think my name recognition is certainly going to help. But I believe that people are ready for change. I think Iowa has shown that with some of the special elections that we've had and the kind of momentum that has been gained from some of the special elections. So I am going to join those ranks of people saying it's time for change. And we do not want the Republicans to have the supermajority. We want a balance in government, and we want other voices at the table. And so what I offer Iowans and the people that I serve is being able to speak truth to power. I'm able to really work across the aisles as well, and I have a Republican mayor who we have had fierce disagreements on some things, but we have such a respectable relationship for each other. I can go to his home for his kids' graduations. You've got to be able to talk with folks on both sides, but still lead with conviction and lead with an understanding of what values are important to the people and not be afraid to speak up about that. So I'm going to miss some components, some collegiality of city council to now a partisan race where now I'm a Democrat and the Republicans on the other side. And we are really fiercely advocating on what interests are important to each of us. But I think what I stand for, coming from a working class family, a mom who raised 3 daughters as a single parent, I understand the issues that are important to average Iowans just trying to make a life for themselves and their families. And I'm excited to fight for that. It is so aligned with how I was raised and watching my mom work 2 jobs all of my life, getting up in the morning, going to her full-time job, then going to her part-time job, and then trying to raise 3 girls, starting at the age of 4, 6, and 7. And all she wanted for us is to make a life of ourselves, get an education so that can open doors that allows us to be of service to others. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be of service to others that need us.
Right now, that's a message that's so powerful throughout the country. The whole storyline that you just shared with us, from a mom working 2 jobs, raising children, helping them prosper and have a vision about what their future can be like, and making sure that there are doors that are open and that we kick them open. Like Vice President Harris said, she said it with a little bit more fire, ferociousness. But the message is still there. Sometimes you got to kick the door open, and clearly, Mother Hardman taught you how to kick that door open, and I appreciate you sharing that story with us, because so many people in our country right now, when you talk about working across the aisle and trying to connect, have lost sight of that we are all responsible to kick the door open for someone else and keep it open. And I think the key right now, and I go back to what you said about what's important to you, is to listen, to learn, and to lead. And that is, I haven't heard anybody put it that way, but I wrote it down because I'm going to start to use it just to let you know.
Absolutely. It's important. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what are all right. So the holidays are upon us, and it's been so great to have you with us. Your elections, you said it's December 30th. Did I catch that right?
Yeah, it is December. The special election is December 30th. And of course, early voting can, start as early as December the 10th.
Okay.
Where people can go to their local auditor's office and begin the voting process. They can request early absentee ballots as late as December 15th. So we are pushing early turnout because to have an election on New Year's Eve, we all know that where people are going to be at ready for their parties and celebrations. And so we've got to get people mobilized and up and voting early so that if there's a blizzard on December 30th or they're out of town on December 30th, their voice is already heard.
How are you? Okay, so to that end, and that's you were reading my mind. What are you guys doing? What's in your toolkit that's allowing you to get that message, those last 5 or 6 sentences out to the folks? And what are the numbers in terms of how many people you have that would be voting? Or what's showing up there?
Well, the district is pretty divided. We have about 38% Democrats, 31% Republicans, and 31% no party. And we believe that we are going to be working with the no party too, so that they can come to our side. But the campaign has sent out thousands of early absentee ballot request forms. And as I'm knocking on doors, people are saying, I got my card, I got my form, I got my form. I'm like, okay, it's doing nothing in your hands, fill it out and send it in. So we are out there knocking on doors, asking people to turn in their absentee ballot request. We are having canvas kickoffs. My first canvas kickoff several weeks ago, 30-something volunteers showing up to knock on doors. Can you see the power of 30 people out there on one day knocking on doors? The second time we had it was about 23, 24. So that's multiplying me by that many times. And we're getting out there, knocking on the doors, reminding people of the special election, getting their absentee ballot request forms out. And so it's touching donors at the doors, and we want to knock on about 10,000 or so doors. Mm-hmm. And so there's canvassing Saturday, there's canvassing on Sunday. So there are a lot of surrogates out there raising their hands to say, I want to be a part of history making, and I want to be more a part of making sure that the Democratic Party prevents a supermajority. So people are fired up and ready to go. But we got to meet them at the doors, and we've got to give them access to vote early. There are a couple of satellite sites that are going to be set up before December 30th for a few hours on a Saturday, on a couple of Saturdays where people can go out and vote. Mm-hmm. So those sites are being set up. So we're focusing on early turnout. Why
don't we do this? I'm going to do this right now. Let's do some business right now. So if I have the dates right, early voting starts on December 10th. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then what was the date? What was happening on the 15th? I forgot. What did you say?
I think that is the last day that you can send in your early absentee ballot request in order to receive the ballot to vote in time.
Okay, so let's do some business.
It needs to be received in the office by December 15th.
So on December 11th, I'm pressing the envelope here. I'd love to have you back on the show so that we can have another little quick push before since the early voting starts the day before. If we could get you back on maybe the 11th, talk a little bit about what's been happening, talk about the election. It means a lot to me. State legislative wins right now are going to be huge as we change the clock and we move things forward across the country. So if that's something that we can do and have you back on the 11th, we'll figure it out behind the scenes. Our people will talk to your people, blah, 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 and make that happen.
Yes.
But
I love that. I love that, and I thank you so much for that.
Yeah, let's do that to have you back on one last time once early voting has started and we're right in the mix of all that's going on. Would that be cool?
That would be awesome, and I'm so grateful for that invitation to speak with you.
Absolutely. Well, listen, let folks know real quickly before we wrap up, Ms. Hardman, how they can find you, how they can get involved in the meantime.
Yes, they can certainly find me through going to my website and signing up. There is a link for folks to sign up to either do postcards or do calling. They can just go find me at Hardman for Iowa. And there's plenty of information that outlines opportunities to engage in this historic trailblazing movement that we're forming here in Iowa. So Hardman for Iowa, and we've got plenty of opportunities for people to sign up. We have lots of elected officials that are coming out to be a part of this campaign as well. And so Hardman for Iowa will give them everything they need and opportunities to engage.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ms. Hardman, for being with us this morning. Have a good Thanksgiving. I know you're going to be hitting the road. Be safe getting back home.
Yes.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Enjoy the meal and the time with the family back here in good old Illinois.
Okay.
So that's cool.
I love that. Can't wait. And you have a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. And thank you for this opportunity.
My pleasure, ma'am.
We're in it to win it.
We are in it to win it. So let's do that thing. Be well. Talk with you soon.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Very inspiring, guys. And I wanted to give her an opportunity to just make sure we can connect with her. But we will have her back on. We'll figure that out in December because I think it'll be a good timing. Listen, guys, enjoy your Thanksgiving. Don't fill up your plate. Go back for seconds and thirds. Be safe in your travels. Do all the things that I've been talking about the last week. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being with us. Stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. Take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you on Friday. Hey Progressives, it's Richard Chu, host of Chu's Views weekdays 6 to 8 a.m. Central. We're all anxious for the 2026 midterm election to arrive so we can restore some sanity and much needed oversight to our government. In fact, it's the most important midterm election in American history, and Chu's Views will be in the thick of it, bringing you candidate interviews on a regular basis. I'll be talking to Democratic Party hopefuls running for House and Senate at the federal and state level, as well as candidates for governor and other state and local offices.
I am in love with our ability to fight for our rights, to fight for our future, to fight for our freedoms, to fight as our ancestors fought. It's just our moment. This is just our time to stand up and to speak up. We can't give up on this.
If you miss any of the interviews live, you'll be able to find them all on WCPT's candidate interviews page at heartlandsignal.com/candidates. That's Choose Views weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. on WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk for 20 years.
Still struggling with gas, bloat, constipation, nausea, or diarrhea? Have you tried eliminating foods but felt no change? It's time to call the tummy whisperer, Renee Barish at Digestive Health Solutions. Renee uses targeted testing to reveal exactly what's happening in your gut. Gut bacteria plays a key role in all your body functions, from cardiovascular regulation to brain function. When the gut is imbalanced, you may experience symptoms that extend beyond the gut, such as anxiety, skin issues, poor sleep, or increased risk for disease. Digestive Health Solution uses advanced testing to identify harmful microbes and evaluate the overall balance of the gut ecosystem. Get insights into your health, digestion, and how your microbiome affects all aspects of your body. Stop suffering. Call Renee now at 847-207-2034 or visit thetummywhisperer.com. That number is 847-207-2034. Let's get you feeling better. The Tummy Whisperer.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Not only does Progressive let you bundle your insurance, but they also give you round-the-clock protection. Quote today at Progressive.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. President Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff last month advised a senior aide to Vladimir